Right guys, hope you're all well. In this video I'm going to quickly go through the questions to this paper here. Those of you who are in school the last couple of weeks would have got a copy of this. Before you go any further, I would suggest that you do practice this yourself. Don't just watch this video, have a go at the questions. There's only about 9 of them. So if you're stuck on a question, you can flick through the video for that specific question, okay? Before you start off any exam, as we looked at, think about your first 5. What are those bits of maths, maybe it's formula or key facts that you might need throughout that exam paper? This is a calculator paper, so paper 2, paper 3. So these are some of the topics that I would expect to come up. So make sure you are practicing that for yourself every time you do a paper, and particularly when you do a mock. So let's look at question 1. These first couple shouldn't take us too long. It's 1 mark, so it's only looking for the answer on this one. Something added together 3 times gives us 12. That would be a 4. Something, take away 2 is 6, so that would be 8. On this next one is 2 marks, so it is looking for some workings on this one. So what I could do, it is solve, so think to-do box. I'm going to do without the to-do box just for speed purposes. I want to get rid of that +2, so I'll take away 2. The key thing is I'll do it to both sides. So there are your workings, that'll pick you up a mark so far. So 6w is equal to 18, and that's my first mark. Lastly, it is 6 multiplied by w, so we need to divide by 6 on both sides, so w is equal to 3. On this next one, right, 15% is a decimal, so to change the percentage into a decimal we divide by 100, so that would be 0.15 as our answer. And moving on to question 3, a set of tires normally costs this much, so if it's normally that, we're going to say that's the 100%. In a sale there is a 30% discount, so if the discount is taken away, so that would leave us with 70%. I don't know, I'd have to check the mark scheme. Sometimes even just that will get you a mark. Work out the sale price, so we want that 70% of a set of tires. So with percentages, there's many different ways you can do it. I do have a calculator, so I'm going to make use of the calculator on this one. But you can use a bubble method if you wish to. So what I could do here is do 500 multiplied by, I'm looking for 70%. So if I multiply it by the decimal equivalent of that, i.e. a multiplier, that will get me the answer. Or if you prefer, do 500 and then take away 30% of 500. Either way guys, I end up with, if I multiply this, I'll do it here actually. So we've got 500 multiplied by 0.7. 350 is our answer, so that's actually the very final answer. That's what 70% is. If you did it this way, you'd be doing 500, take away 30% of 500 would be 150, and you still end up with 350. So whichever method you use is absolutely fine. If you manage, or if you did draw bubbles and you got the right answer, really good. But do think about speed as well, okay? Particularly on a foundation paper, you need a lot of questions to get those grades. Question 4. Claire is making a loaf of bread. A loaf of bread loses 12% of its weight when it is baked. So it starts with 100%, you lose 12%, so that means you're left with 88% after it's baked. Claire wants the baked loaf of bread to weigh 101 kg. So that's the baked loaf. So 88% equals 1.1 kg. That's what she wants it to be. Work out the weight of the loaf of bread before it is baked. So before it is baked, it's 100%. So leave a bit of a space here. If I can find 100%, that is my answer. That's the question done. I can't go straight from 88 to 100. I'd love to. For instance, if this was 10%, I'd just multiply it by 10 and you get 100%. I can't do that, so if you can't do that, 1% will always get the job done. So I want to go from 88 to 1, which is divide by 88. So I'll do exactly the same on the other side. So my calculator, 1.1 divided by 88. It gives me 1 over 80, which I don't want. So press the change button. There's my decimal, 0.0125. And that's kgs. So now last step, to go from 1 to 100 and multiply by 100. So we do exactly the same on the other side. And we get 1.25 kg. And that's the answer. Right, question 5. We have got, first of all, y equals 2x plus 3. It's a 2x plus 3. There's no squared or anything there, so that tells me this is going to be a straight line, upward or downward sloping, so no curves at all. Always start with 0, and that is 2 multiplied by x. So 2 multiplied by 0 is 0, add 3, and we get a 3. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, add 3 is 7, and now we can see the pattern. I'm adding 2 every time. So rather than doing any more substitution, I'm going to just add 2 onto the 9, which is 11, plus 2 is 13, and that's that box complete. What you'll notice is that that pattern is always the same number that's in front of the x. So I've got a plus 2 here, which means I was going up in 2's every time. When I plot this, make sure you have got a ruler and pencil in case you make any mistake. So I've got 0, 3, which is here. Keep your x's or your dots small. I'm just making them a little bit bigger so you guys can see them clearly. Let's do 1, 5. And let's do 2, 7. You need at least 3 points to draw a straight line, okay? Don't just plot 2 and draw a straight line. Do 3. That way you can see that whether you're getting it right or wrong, because it does need to be straight. So don't stop at this. Continue the line on for as long as you can. Good long line like so. And it's a straight line, just as I preempted earlier up here. Question 6. Right, with 6, this time we do have that squared bit here. So that's telling me this is going to be a U shape or it's going to be an N shape, but there needs to be one curve in it, like so. Again, I'll probably start with 0, even though I am going to do this negative. 0 squared is 0, take away 4 is minus 4. 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1, take away 4 is minus 3. And then lastly over here, be very careful with this one, it is minus 3 squared, which is minus 3 multiplied by minus 3. That would be a positive 9, take away 4, and we end up with a 5. But you know, it doesn't create the same pattern that a linear does, but there is a certain pattern to it. So 5, 0, minus 3, and then it meets at minus 4 in the middle. So what's happening there is, that's, you've seen that curve there where it meets at minus 4. Minus 4 will be where the curve is. Again, pencil, don't need ruler on this one, that's the key bit. We want to join these coordinates using freehand. So minus 3, 5, which is about there. Minus 2, 0. That's an easy one to spot. Here we go. Minus 1, minus 3. 0, minus 4. So that's where we see now it's starting to curve. So it's doing this what I would expect it to do. So it's probably going to come up this way next time. We have got 1, minus 3, which is about there. Nothing wrong with using your ruler if you can't follow these lines. 2, 0, which is here, and then 3, 5 is up here. So nice and smooth. Make sure you're hitting those coordinates. You make a smaller mistake, that's alright, it's not meant to be a piece of art, but do make sure you've got a nice smooth curve at the very bottom, like so, and there's your U shape. So, you see we've got something similar here. Brogan needs to draw this graph. Here's her graph, so she's done it already. Write down one thing that is wrong with Brogan's graph. So, as I look at it here, she's used straight edges. It's not a smooth curve at all. It's pointy at the bottom. That needs to be, it's more like a V than a U actually. So, Brogan has joined coordinates using straight lines instead of a smooth curve. So key bit there, straight lines. She's used a ruler. Should have been done freehand, so that you get that U shape, nice smooth curve at the bottom. Okay. Right, and number 8. So, group of people went to a restaurant. Each person chose one starter and one main course. The number of people who chose soup to the number of people who chose prawns was 2 to 3. So that was soup to prawns. And I might note it down here actually. Soup to prawns was 2 to 3. Of those who chose soup, the number of people who chose lasagna to the number of people who chose curry was 5 to 3. So from here we had lasagna to curry was 5 to 3. And that's only from this part here. On the next one, of those who chose prawns, the number of people who chose lasagna to curry was 1 to 5. So lasagna to curry, 1 to 5. And do make sure you're keeping the order consistent there as well. Lasagna to curry, don't mix them up. So what I'm thinking here straight away is this is a bit messy. It's not like our usual ratio questions, because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of ratios within a ratio too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out a little bit differently. So I'm going to go with frequency tree, or probability tree, sorry, like this. So I've got soup and I've got prawns. Now soup initially, I'm going to write it as a fraction actually. There's 5 parts here, so it was 2 out of 5 people chose soup, 3 out of 5 chose prawns. And it includes all the people, so when you add these two together you should get a whole number, 100%. Now from the soup, let's just focus on the people who chose soup. We had lasagna and we had curry. Now people who chose lasagna, it was 5 out of 8 in total, so 5/8 chose lasagna. Curry was 3/8, and again it's 100%, so 100% of those who chose soup chose either lasagna or curry. And lastly we're going to do exactly the same with prawns. So again it was lasagna and curry. This time numbers are slightly different. It's 1 out of 6 and 5 out of 6. So again here, those who chose prawns, they either chose lasagna or curry, so 100% of them chose either the lasagna or the curry. Now, what fraction of the people chose curry? So it's curry we're looking for. So my curry would be this one here, or it could be this one here. So initially we have got 3/8, but it's not 3/8 of the people, it's 3/8 of this people here. Whatever this amount here is, it's 3/8 of that we're looking for. So 3/8 of 2/5. And equally, we're looking for 5, 6, because we can't forget these people down here who chose curry. 5, 6 of those who chose prawns. So 5, 6 of 3/5, sorry. So when it comes to either of these two, we're looking at the curry here or the curry above. So we've got 3/8 of 2/5, which would be 6/40. And over here 5, 6 of 3/5. I should have said, sorry, if it's of, that means we're multiplying. So that's why I'm multiplying the fractions here. So that would be 5 times 3 is 15. 6 times 5 is 30. Obviously we want common denominators here. So what we could do is multiply them up, I suppose, to 120. So that was multiplied by 3, so that'd be 18 out of 120. And here we've got multiply that by 4, so that'd be 40, 60 out of 120. Yeah. These can obviously be simplified. So we get, we can add them together actually first. It'll be 78 over 120, and then try and simplify them down as much as you can. So I could half those, that's 60, 35, 39. I can divide both of these by 3, which would be 13 over 20, and I can't simplify that anymore. So the fraction, so what fraction of the people chose curry? It'll be 13 out of 20. And what I did forget to say here, I glossed over it a bit. When I had the 18 over 120 for this side and the 60 over 120, I added them together because I wanted a total. It was either or. So if it's or, you add. And you look at that a little bit more when it comes to probability, the and rule and the or rule. But that's one way of doing it. There are alternatives way of doing it, but just to see the problem, I needed to do a diagram. Initially in my head I was thinking, could I use a two-way table? With two-way tables, it's a little bit different because you're generally just adding or subtracting. Using a probability tree like so makes it a lot easier. And final question. So Ali has X cards. Belinda has twice as many cards as Ali. So Belinda has 2x. I'll be putting that down straight away. Charlie has 5 more cards than Ali. So Ali had X. He's got 5 more, so he's got plus 5. And there's a good chance that that will pick us up 1 mark. They have a total of 33 cards. So total means I'd add them all up. So we've got her X plus the 2x from Belinda plus the X plus 5, and they should add up to 33. Now it says show that 4x plus 5 is 33. So all I do here actually is simplify this. Add the x's together. Got 4 x's plus that 5 equals 33. And that's it done. But the hardest bit there was actually probably these 3 bits up here. B, work out the number of cards Ali has. So remember, Ali has X. So all it's asking us to do here actually is solve for X. So think at the very end I want X is equal to some number, so that plus 5 needs to go, and that multiplied by 4 needs to go. So think to do box again on that one, guys. I'm going to do without it just for time's sake. So we've got add 5, so get rid of that, I'll take away 5. Again from both sides, so it balances. 4x is equal to 28. So we need to do the opposite of multiplying by 4, which is divide by 4. So x is equal to 7. And that's it done. What I would advise you to do is have a look at the mark scheme. So you might see, so if you did something different here and got the same answer, that's perfectly acceptable. Have a look at the mark scheme. The key thing is you're showing your workings and then obviously getting that right answer. And what I would also advise you do is have a look at, slightly before the mark scheme, you've got the examiner's report. So the examiner's report will just lay out a summary of what the examiner has seen from these questions when they were asked on the papers. It will give you common mistakes, just things to watch out for, because these are questions that do come up very often on the papers, not these exact ones, slightly different numbers, but same layout, same topic, etc. Hope that was helpful for you guys. Enjoy the summer and see you in September.